Hello, hello, Aldwyn Altuney here. I am so excited. We're going to be chatting with the amazing Sheila Mac today, who comes to us all the way from Beverly Hills in the US of A. She is the author of Bootstraps and Brastraps and has such an inspiring story. Welcome, Sheila.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on here. I really appreciate it. And it's so wonderful to connect with friends across the globe. How wonderful is this?
Absolutely. I must say, I love your accent. That's right. We're not the ones with the accent.
Right.
So, yeah. Well, welcome, Sheila. It really is fantastic to have you here. And we connected through my Mass Media Mastery program, of course, and you've had amazing media experiences lately, and you've got this book, and you just, I just see you pop up everywhere on social media, and you're doing so many amazing things. So for people that don't know you, let's start out by sharing a bit of your background.
Okay, well, I am a mother of 6 beautiful children who are now grown. So I have 3 of my own and then 3 that I fostered to adopt. And that was in my heart because I grew up as a child that at one point was on the streets from 10 to 13 and then went into the foster care system myself for a short time, emancipated early at 15. And so for me, everything that I've done, I've always made sure that I've given back to those kids that need somebody to be there for them because people were there for me, and that makes all the difference.
Yeah, it's amazing. I don't know how I don't know how I'd cope with 1 kid, let alone 6 kids. I think that's extraordinary. I have a cat, and my cat is very low maintenance, so that's not too bad. I can handle a cat. So your background's quite interesting because you had quite a rocky past too, right? With your, how you grew up. So can you share a little bit about that?
Well, growing up in and out of the foster care system, I had to be very resourceful and learn how to connect with different people. It was such a gift. I can recall at one point I had scheduled to emancipate early and graduate early. And when I did that, I was sent to a camp for very bad kids. And they had all, hurt somebody or done something really intense. And I was in there because I was emancipating, so I wasn't quite aligned yet. And then I was stuck there for 6 months waiting for the court system. And what happened was I thought, oh, this is an adventure. And I got to know these kids and their stories and what they had been through and what got them to where they ended up getting into trouble and where their hearts were. And so it gave me so much more compassion and connection to everyone, and it was a gift that helped me later on in life. So once I emancipated, I ended up getting married. I went to college early, and I ended up opening gift stores. And my first gift store, I was 23 years old. It was $5,000 US a month back then, and we won't say how old I am now, but I have children that age. So, when I started that first store, I had to learn a lot about marketing, about getting my information in my store out there. And it took about 6 months for people to know a store was even present. And I learned a lot. And as I became more successful, I did hire over 100 students that were children, that were young adults emancipating from the system themselves, 18 years old or so, getting ready to go out. Nobody wanted to give them a job. So I had this whole training program approved with the government here, and all these kids got to learn how to run a small business. And then they got letters and recommendations and went on to get even better jobs. So because I was so heart focused on helping those kids, when you give, you receive. My store was very blessed as a store, but it had more than just being a store. And so when you put your heart and your intention in anything, it shows up in beautiful ways.
And you do have such a heart now for helping other children. And what have you learned through that process?
Well, it's to really be able to connect. And right now, in our current world times, there's some schools that are having children home and teens home. Young adults are home now with their parents. And so it's so important to be able to connect with your children and have open and honest conversations. Sometimes it's, instead of throwing rules at them, to be able to really talk to them, because they are young adults, and there's going to be pushback, because that means they're healthy. They're like, this is, I'm trying to grow up and I need to push back, and it's a hard time because the rules on all of us have just become incredibly difficult to deal with as a society, with, you know, new lockdowns in the US. Our numbers are crazy right now. So they're starting to shut down states again. And so that's really hard on our youth. And it's important that as a parent, you show up with the right mindset, because you're leading, whether you're leading your business or you're the manager of your home and you're leading your family, or you're doing both now and you're working from home. How you show up is going to affect the environment and how your children show up and do their schoolwork, and, you know, remember to play. Those kind of things are so important.
Yes, absolutely. And if you watch mainstream news, you know, you're going to end up depressed and possibly suicidal, like the million
Right.
people or so a year that take their own lives. And so, having worked in the media for 36 years, I recommend that you do not believe everything you hear in the mainstream media, and that you question everything, right? And, you know, as much as there's a lot of drama since COVID and all of that, it's really important to celebrate the amazing things that are going on, and the people that are doing amazing things right now, and have that gratitude, you know, come back into a place of appreciation as opposed to depreciation.
Yes.
You know, lifting people's spirits with what you do, and, you know, be the change you want to see in the world, as Gandhi says. You know, we can all be the change we want to see in the world right now. You know, I'm very grateful for this technology now to be able to reach people all over the world with our messages, which is fantastic. So, you know, it still feels in some way that we have freedom of speech going on, which is interesting. Now, Sheila, you've had a you know, quite a rocky past there. There's some really hard moments you've been through, which of course has led to your book now. So can you share some of the most challenging times you've had in the past, and how you've come through them?
Well, you know, obviously I had good times and I had beautiful times. I raised this family. It was incredible, wonderful experiences running stores and then getting into real estate and running that as well. And then there was a point where I traveled the world for 7 years straight. I came back to California and I decided, okay, I need to get settled. My daughter wanted to move over with me to go to school. So I bought this beautiful little home. It was a little home, but it was a beautiful little home in Ventura, California. And I closed escrow November 3rd. So I owned it November 3rd. So I spent an entire month, you know, how you decorate and you paint and you make it beautiful and all that nesting kind of stuff that us women do sometimes. And I did that and I was so happy. December 3rd, I was driving home and there were fires for miles. And by the time I got there, I was able to rescue my cat and rescue a couple of boxes. And I knew how big the fire was. The neighbors were still like, oh, it's a little hill fire. It was like, no, we need to go now. And I, of course, lost that house and my deposit and all my, you know, precious photos, things like that were gone. And I ended up going to stay at this little other cabin house I had purchased that was kind of like a mobile home up in the hills, a prefab, and it's like a little cabin in the hills. And I had rented it out to the vacation rentals and made it really cute, but it was very humble. So all that was rented, and there was this little storage shed on the side. So like 400 square feet, it had a little bathroom, it had a little sink. And so I'm in this little room. Then my cat gets out and gets eaten by a coyote that same, like within a couple days. And then one of my kids borrowed my car, and crashed the car. A semi truck hit him. He was fine, but the, you know, the car was not. And I was like, I didn't even care about the car, but then I had no car. And, you know, so it was a really tough time. And I don't really go to depression often, but it's so subtle that you don't notice that you're getting lower. And I think that's hit us all this year, where you kind of don't notice, and then you're like, oh, well, I didn't get as motivated. It's kind of harder to do things. And so it's very subtle sometimes. And I noticed, and I said, oh, okay, I've done so much personal development training and so much work. And I said, I'm going to apply this now. Now, all my neighbors had also lost their homes. The fire is still burning for about a month. And I know you had big fires in Australia as well. So you know what I'm talking about. It was just, nobody could help you because we're all in the same boat. And it's not a good boat. And so I had to really work on my mindset. And I jumped on my rebounder that I had rescued. I mean, like, of all the things, I rescued my rebounder. I started like jumping up and down and doing these affirmations, I'm brilliant, I'm bright, I'm a being of light, all these beautiful affirmations. And my neighbors looked at me in this cabin house. They had little cabins too. And they were like, okay, she's lost her mind. And then my one son said, okay, here's this old car, his beater car. So he loans me his beater car that you have roll up windows and it kind of drives to the side, and it's really bad. And I went to the dollar store because, of course, my budget was very tight. And I go to the dollar store, and I don't know, maybe I spent $20 and American dollars. And so not too much. And I bought like the steering wheel cover and these beautiful stickers that said blessed and happiness and peace and flow. And I put them all over the inside of that car. And I put on really nice positive music and affirmations. And I'm driving, into work, and I'm keeping my mindset. The neighbors up at this place are looking at me like, okay, she is never going to get out of this. She has gone crazy. And like, what is she? She thinks she's got a nice car. And of course, one of my sons that he had given me that car to borrow, he said, oh, Mom, you really souped it up. You made it nice. And I was like, that's right, because it's our mindset. It's the environment. No matter where you are, it's who you're being and all you're doing that's going to make all the difference. And I had to really show up and force. It was a little bit of a forced move there for the few days, but it felt better. And I was like, yeah, this feels like a better energy, a better vibration. There's a difference. And before you know it, I got invited to work in Beverly Hills, and I moved over and got a beautiful place. And I made enough commissions with what I do with my real estate team and the courses I teach. And I was able to go ahead and get another replacement car. And it was just within a month, I made all these shifts, but the first was the mindset. That was the first shift. And then I went back to gather my things from that little home. And that's the day I looked around. People were still kind of in the same place that I left them a month earlier. Nothing had changed, yet my whole world had changed. And I said, wait, what did I do differently? And that was when my book was born. And I thought, okay, I was all alone, but I don't want people to be alone anymore when they're going through something. What do I do? And I created the Boots formula, and it's a system that I used during that situation and in many of my other situations as a young girl growing up homeless, in and out of foster care, to get on track and to live the life that I choose to live. And so here's the book. And I have my little gifts. Each chapter is a different topic, and it has a gift based on what you need at the time. And it goes through this Boots formula and how to get back into action and back on track quickly. So here's
fantastic. That. Can you just put that in front of your face there, just so we can hear you? Perfect. Yeah. There we go. Okay. Beautiful. Fantastic.
Yes, that was that.
So the Boots formula, what is this Boots formula you have?
Okay, so the Boots formula, the B is for being. It's about who you're being and all you're doing. And it's also about who you need to be during this tough situation to get back on track. So I had to show up during that fire and getting back on track. I had to be positive. I had to be on track. I had to be in charge. I couldn't let myself sit there and go into a depression. I had to choose, and few days of forcing it until I got into the flow of that and beingness. And so that's the first one. The next, so the first O in Boots is for orientation. That was when I had to sit down and really face the facts. Okay, it's not better than it is, it's not worse than it is, but this is the reality. I have zero in the bank. I have all these, bills and liabilities with the insurance companies that they didn't want to pay for a long time for anyone. And, so I had to really be honest about that and then decide, where do I want to be? How do I want to get back on track? So I had to be honest about that. And then the next O is order of operations. So I had to decide, in what order am I going to do things in order to, like, I can't go buy a car unless I have the credit and I qualify and I'm able to do that. And, so I have to clean up and I have to move, so there's certain things you do in a certain order, and the order can make all the difference. Now think about your day, even the way you're structuring your day at home now. If you're home doing your business, you have your family home maybe as well, and you're homeschooling or whatever. Think about how you structure your day, the order you do things. Do you have time for meditation or to go exercise? Do you have time for play? How you structure them is going to affect your entire day. And then it's going to affect your success in business, and it's going to affect your children. Even if they're in college, it'll make a difference. So that is the order of operations. Then we go into T, and that's for thinking. That was the mindset. And that's so important, because once you know those other pieces, you can put the mindset and stay in that positive state, because you know where you're going. You already have your new target of where you're going, and you can enjoy the journey. And then the S is for stepping up, and that's taking action, believing, it's putting stickers on the car. It's decorating the little humble home that you ended up in because you lost a home in a fire. It's making the best with what you have to work with today, knowing that better things are showing up. And then when opportunities show up, like I was invited to a new place to work in Beverly Hills, I said yes. I stepped into it, so that's the S in the Boots.
Love it, the Boots formula. Now, what you haven't talked about is something absolutely tragic, where you lost your son. Would you like to share a bit about that and how that was for you?
Yes. So, I wrote the book, and originally it was going to come out in January. And, publisher, everybody's going for, okay, we've got this date, you've got to do this. And I flew to see my son, and it was like a big reunion. So he was staying at his grandparents' home, and on his dad's side, and he had gone to sleep and he just didn't wake up. And so when I flew in that day, he said goodnight. He was looking forward to seeing us. Everything was great. And he just had an arrhythmic heart condition called Wolff-Parkinson-White. And so his heart went into an arrhythmia and he didn't wake up. And so my daughter greeted me and told me the situation. And obviously, any parent who's lost a child, and many of us have as parents, that it's something that you need to give yourself that gift of time, and you need to heal and get through the grieving process. And the first thing was, my daughter said, okay, I'm going to go home with you. I need to be with you and I need time. And so the first thing I did as the leader of my family is I said, okay, book is on hold. I'm going to do this grieving. And the first chapter in my book actually goes into how to get through the grieving process. I had lost all my relatives that I actually cared for. My mother, I bought her a house. I cared for my grandparents. I did that, believe it or not, even through all the difficulties and ups and downs, I did what I felt was the right thing. And so I had lost all those people. And it's a little bit different when you lose your youngest child. And so I thought, oh, wow, the past me wrote this book as a gift for the future me. And I needed it. And I thought how important it is. And my goal is with that to get the book to people who need it. whether it's and free resources that I have where it can help people getting through a rough situation, whatever that is, and applying the formula and getting on track. And so that was something. We set the date, and our new date is actually August 4th. So it was a beautiful time. And, I sat in the yard with my daughter and a couple of my other kids and my sons, and we sat there and we talked right after our universal pause. And, they said, gosh, Mom, if ever us as a family needed a universal pause to have the whole world just shut down, it was this year. And so there's a lot of healing and blessings and gifts in us all going home and rebuilding our family, our communities, connecting. Even though we might sometimes have to connect via the internet, we're having real conversations now because of this situation. And I think that's really going to be healing for as we come out of this. And what you do, what starts at home spreads out into your community and your work. It affects everything.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. How old was your son?
My son was 22.
22. Wow. Yeah. And looking back, what are some things you're grateful for with your son?
He was a lover. He would hug everybody as a child. I never worried about him. We found out in 5th grade that he had the condition. So then I worried, but I never worried about him because he was like a photographic memory, so smart and so calm. And we went to different schools. I was a teacher at one point for a while. And so we'd move to different schools if I was called to work at a different school, and I'd bring the children because they'd go free to these beautiful schools. And he would make friends with the teachers and the students within a day. He was that kid. He was the kid that, he'd hug everybody and he, just friendly. And he worked, he went to school. He had a beautiful girlfriend for 3 years. He said, Mom, I really love her. It was very hard for her. She's a beautiful young girl. And so, yeah, that was who he was. And that's such a gift to remember to be free. He just loved everybody.
Oh, that's beautiful. I'm getting a bit emotional. Sending love to him wherever he is in the world. Yeah. And to all those who have passed to this point, the fact is that 1/3 of people die by the age of 65. And, just in the last year, I've lost 8 friends, 7 of them under the age of 60. Wow. And, you never know when people are going to go. We never know how long we're here, right? And I think every time someone passes, it's another reminder to make the most of life. What is it that you're standing for? What is your purpose? What are you passionate about? What do you love? Who do you love? Let people know. And I do believe in kindness and compassion. I really believe it's the answer. I know we've had a lot of upheaval in the last few months with COVID, right? We've had a lot, I'm getting so emotional. We've had a lot of upheaval with COVID, and I know a lot of people have been very depressed around it, and even suicidal. People are drinking more, there's more domestic violence, all that sort of thing is happening. And at the same time, there's also a lot of amazing things happening where, in any sort of recession and depression, there's actually been more opportunities than ever before to actually pivot and turn your whole life around. My media business has taken a whole new level since COVID. My Mass Media Mastery program. I've launched the Global Good News Challenge just in the last month to help inspire more good news. Mm-hmm. Something I'm really passionate about is helping to decrease depression, anxiety, and suicide rates and help lift people's spirits. And, I've had depression myself. I've had 4 friends take their own lives before the age of 45. And I believe, the messages that we consume and the messages we put out are crucial to how we do life. And you mentioned mindset, and this is where it's really important. If you're going to watch the mainstream news or watch some of the dramas around COVID or whatever, or go down the rabbit hole of the conspiracy theorist thing, right, whichever way you're going to go, it's important to be aware, to be knowledgeable about what's happening in the world, and do your own research and make up your own mind and be informed so that you can make informed decisions when it comes such time as we're forced to vaccinate or we're forced to wear masks, or, you know, you want to make your own informed choices around that. And in America, you know, there's forced to wear masks, right, in public places now.
Oh my gosh, I have the sexiest, look at this sexy mask. And I literally, it's so sexy. And I bought it because there are times where we are required to wear a mask. I luckily am in a place where, you know, people deliver and you can do different things and modify where you're not in a large setting where you'd have to. So when I need to, I honor the rules of wherever I'm going and the other people for respect. And then, you know, I do like 99.9% of the places I go, I don't have to wear a mask. And you know, it's so, you know, you just have to modify and deal with it. I've had friends that have gotten tickets now. I think it was $1,500 in Beverly Hills for not wearing a mask.
Wow, that's a fine, $1,500 US.
Yeah, so you know, wow. You have to, you know, just get something really sexy and you're fine.
Wow. Wow. Well, see, the Muslims don't have to worry about it, right? They're all covered up anyway, right? They've been covered up for years, you know. But you know, it's interesting because now in Melbourne they've made it, you know, made it compulsory to wear masks now in Melbourne, and there's a $200 Australian fine in Melbourne if you don't wear a mask. And there's talk about it happening right across Australia to make it compulsory to wear masks. And you know, personally, it's a hot topic right now. But personally, you know, we need fresh air. There's people who actually have died from running with a mask on because they've got no air. They suffocate themselves.
I know.
You know, you want to be careful about how you go about it. But anyway, we're digressing a little bit. But what I'm saying is, you know, get informed, do your own research. We have the internet now. Don't just believe everything you hear in the mainstream media, okay? And having worked as a journalist, I know there's hidden agendas, and I know that there's certain things at play right now with COVID that you may not expect.
Right.
And you may not even think is possible. But the fact is there's a lot of sociopaths and psychopaths running the world, unfortunately. And as much as that is happening, there's also some phenomenal people that are coming from a loving space and sharing gratitude and lifting people's spirits. So, you know, I think there's two places we can come from. There's love or fear.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I'd love to talk a bit about that, because a lot of people, when they are hard on themselves or when they get depressed or whatever, that's often the fear space, right? So if you're coming from love and light and gratitude, such a simple thing, it can just shift your whole energy. And I love that saying that you had when you're on your rebounder. I love that. So what are some ways that we can get into gratitude now, Sheila, and help lift people's spirits out there?
Okay, so I mean, obviously losing a loved one, it hasn't been that long. So I've had that. And, you know, there are times where you honor your grieving. We are grieving as a world because we've lost our freedoms and things are weird and scary and different. And, you know, there's a grieving to that. Yet, one of the things that I've done and that really helped is when I never really feel lonely, but when I feel like kind of down and like I need to be picked up, I will decide, you know what, when you give love, you receive. When you pick somebody else up, you get picked up. And so I will call people and I'll say, who is it that's living alone? Who do I need to connect with? Who do I need to contact? And I could contact 20, 30 people on a down day. And, you know, by the first person, really, the first person I reach, I'm in a better state because I'm showing up for them. And by the time I'm done, I'm like, oh my gosh, I've just connected with all these people and they were so grateful because they were feeling down. And my downness just went away because I was out of my head into my heart and out into the world. And I think that that's like the emergency tool that has been a huge, huge save, instead of just being concerned. And obviously I have a daily gratitude practice with my daughter that has helped so much, and with my other children, and we do that. But sometimes it's just getting out of us and our like soup and thinking, okay, how can I give? Because when you're giving love and fear, it can't exist in the same space. So if you're in that space of love, the fear is just gone. It just disappeared.
Yes, I love that. Absolutely. And it's such a simple thing. People tend to overcomplicate life, right? We've been conditioned, from a young age through the education system, through Hollywood, through movies, through mainstream media messages. We've been conditioned to live in fear, and I believe that we are drawn to the light, that people are actually drawn to positivity. And so many people I speak to now, they say they're sick of all the negative news. They don't even watch the news anymore because so much is so negative.
Right.
However, the good news is there's actually a whole good news movement now happening across the world. And there's the Good News Network, there's Huffington Post, there's news.com.au that all have good news sections. There's Sunny Skies News, there's a happy newspaper in the UK that went viral. There's lots of positive news outlets out there that can help bring you into a place of gratitude by looking at all this good news. Something I do as a gratitude practice is every time I go into the ocean here on the Gold Coast, it is winter, but it's still glorious. Every time I go under a wave, I think of something I'm grateful for. Even if it's cold, I'll go under and I'll think, I'm grateful for the Gold Coast, grateful for the waves, grateful for, just simple things, grateful for my health, grateful for my family, grateful for, grateful for you, grateful. Just there's so much we can be grateful for. And I'd love to hear if you're watching this right now. And thank you to our lovely viewer comments here. Sequoia Haskell says, such a cool interview. Kudos to you both. I'll put some of your comments up there. Katie says, lovely message. Thank you so much, Katie St. Clair. So what are you grateful for? I'd love to hear from you. If you're watching this live right now, just pop into the comments. What are you grateful for? Let's help lift some more spirits around there. And if you have a gratitude practice, what do you do? Sharing these simple things can be really, really powerful. With the Good News Challenge, we have 3 things we're grateful for, and sharing that publicly is really, really powerful. What are some other things you do to get into gratitude, Sheila?
Oh, well, I definitely make sure that every day I either take a walk or get on my bike. I have the Peloton, so I'm home with that, which is awesome. That's been a huge save. And so I do where I don't have to wear a mask in a gym, obviously. I'm like, no, I can't do that. So I have those kind of things. And we take walks, and it's just being able to walk again and sit outside and take a walk with your loved ones is something we've lost. We think about, I talk to my grown kids that are home, and we talk about, oh my gosh, we haven't done this in years because we were so busy doing. We forgot the act of being, of connecting, of just being in community, connecting with your neighbors, friends, loved ones. If you're home alone, there's still ways to connect with others. And just, it's those simple things that can make all the difference in your day.
Absolutely. I totally agree. The simple things in life are often the best, as they say. So, and even just a simple thing like when you eat your food, giving praise, giving thanks. I love Thanksgiving in America. I think Thanksgiving is a brilliant idea. I think every day should be Thanksgiving, right? Every day we can be thankful for something.
I was born on a Thanksgiving Day.
Oh, really? Wow.
So we celebrate it every year for sure, double, and I keep celebrating all year long. So maybe I do have my own. That's every time I send somebody a birthday gift or a birthday message, I tell them celebrate every day, because we don't know. We don't know how long we have. We don't know what life holds for us. So let's celebrate every single day. Look at the gifts, the things that we took for granted and our freedoms we don't have right now. But, as we go back out and things are finally opening, not here in the US, but back around the world, we're able to really celebrate like the connection of being with people, of loving people, of talking with people. And all that is something that we took for granted. And then we didn't give it anybody time. And now we're able to give each other that time. And that's the healing that I think this universal pause is the healing part that's coming in, that's going to make such a difference for the families, for the children, for our world. And we need a lot of healing in so many areas.
Yes, absolutely. And Sequoia says, I'm thankful to be alive in this magical time of truth and light sweeping the planet, all coming back to love. Beautiful. Thank you, Sequoia. And Katie St. Clair says, I'm grateful for connections on the internet, my beautiful daughter and granddaughter, my morning walk with nature, the scrumptious lunch I made myself. Oh, that sounds very nice. Making me hungry now, Katie. I wonder what you're having for lunch. Very nice. Well, the fact that you've actually got food and you've got shelter, and you've got friends and family around you. I mean, it's all, there's so much to be grateful for just in that, because so many people don't. So many people don't have food, don't have, so many people die of famine every year. People are dying from not enough food. And in fact, I found out just recently, Sheila, that my auntie in the Ukraine died of famine during the Depression at age 4. She died. I had 2 aunties on my father's side. One died of a fire on a fire. She was at a church service. Her dress caught alight on a candle. She ran away from the crowd. She died at age 5. And my other auntie, my dad's other sister in the Ukraine, she died at age 4 of famine.
Oh my goodness.
And my great grandparents were hung by Stalin's men because they were kulaks. They were rich landowners, rich peasants in the early 1900s. I mean, this isn't that long ago. This is like 100 years ago. People getting killed. Millions of people killed because of their class, right? And we have so much we can be grateful for that we're not, going through that right now. I mean, certain things that happen around COVID, around government rules, etc., that we can't control, but you can control in every moment who you're being. Who you're being is crucial. As you say, people think, oh, if I do this, then I'll have this, then I'll be great, then I'll be happy, right? But if you actually take on just being happy, then you'll take certain actions that'll give you certain results. Anyway.
Yes. I mean, I think the biggest debate I ever had was I had a friend that said, oh, well, you're not happy unless you have XYZ. And I said, wait, no, I'm happy now. And she visited me for a few weeks at my home. And she says, I've never laughed so much. I haven't laughed this much since I was a kid. We've had so much fun. No drinking, no nothing. We just were laughing. We were just having a blast. But she said, you have to have this and that. And when you do this and that, then you'll be happy. And I was like, oh no, I am happy in every day. And I think that maybe has one of the other things that got me through all of the ups and downs in my own life is just having that happiness and enjoying the moment. And maybe that's something that my son showed me, is just to be loving and happy where you're at. And it just makes so much of a difference, how we show up in that. That's how we came here, as loving, happy little babies. And then we grow up, and why do we have to take it so seriously? It makes a difference. We still get everything done, but we get to laugh and smile throughout the day. It's just easier.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And Katie says here, I'm like you, Aldwyn, and bless my food and say grace before I eat. Very good. Very good. I like that. And just on that point, the biggest selling book of all time is the Good News Bible, by the way. And I'm not preaching any religion here, but it's just interesting. Over 5 billion copies have sold of the Good News Bible. Mm-hmm. Isn't that interesting? Mm-hmm. So, does good news sell? Well,
right.
I think good news does sell. I think we're conditioned to believe that, we need to be aware of harm with the fight or flight, hindbrain, etc. We need to be aware of dangers, things like that. But the thing is not to dwell on it, right? So if you hear negative news, just go, oh, okay, that's interesting, that's happening. And then I'll do my own research and look at another point of view here, because I can guarantee there'll be other points of view on everything you hear on the mainstream media. There'll be alternate points of view out there. And so I do recommend that you do your own research with everything and go with your gut feeling, balancing out the mind, the heart, the gut, the three brains, right? Or the two brains. Is it 3 brains? Is the heart a brain? I think it is. Heart math. Anyway, it's balancing out the mind, heart, and the gut, and listening to your gut and your intuition, I think, is really important at this time as well. Now, Sheila, you've got some great resources also. I'd love to chat about your book a little bit more and the resources. You've got some gifts, some free resources. Can you share a little bit about what you're giving away with your book?
Okay, so for every chapter, I go into how to apply the Boots formula to a certain situation in life. So the first chapter is on grieving, and we go through how to have grief recovery, which is needed in many different ways. We grieve. When your children go away and you've been a mom for years and years, there's a loss. You just lost your job as a mom. It's changed. So there's different things we grieve over and how to get through that. And, so that's one of the chapters. And then in that, I have an ebook gift that people can get, and that's completely free. And that goes into a little bit deeper on how to heal through the grieving process. I want anybody out there that has just lost a loved one to be able to have all the resources I can give them and connect them to get back on track and to guide their family through that period of time. It's very important that sometimes that's all you need. Now, each chapter goes into that. So I have a chapter on career shifts, which right now, a lot of people have had a career shift. On finances, how to deal with restructuring our finances. That's another chapter. A lot of times when you go through one situation, like what we're going through now wasn't something we all planned, but sometimes these things hit us and it knocks different areas of our life out of whack. And so we need to, get all those things back in order. So that goes into the finances. I have another one on relationships with your intimate partner, and also your relationship with your children, with your elders, how to negotiate those relationships, which is really important now because we have children at home, or we do have more elder care, different things that we normally wouldn't have. And I didn't have a crystal ball when I wrote this book. I wrote it. It took me about 1.5 years. So it's not something I just wrote, but it's something that we've all gone through. So I get into relationships. I get into parenting, elder care. And then I go into the spirituality, but not religious, but spirituality and self-care. And I get into rebooting your life and reinventing your life on your terms. So think about it. We, as parents, moms, people that have worked and devoted our time to our careers, our communities, we've shown up for everybody else. And sometimes we forget to show up for ourselves. And so it's reinventing. So now that we've hit this kind of a rock bottom situation globally with the shift, we can use that as the tool to create the life that we want on our terms, recreate our family life, how we show up in the world, how we do business. Everything gets to be recreated, and this time on our terms, not what somebody else wanted us to do, or the news wanted us to do, or somebody wanted us to believe. Who are we really? Who can we really show up as to really make a difference in this world? So it's a great time to do that. So I have a whole chapter on that and the gifts involved with that. So if you just want to reinvent your life, I have the Boots meditation and a whole free program that people can go through to learn more about applying that. I want to make sure that this book is something that has tools that's accessible to everybody. So that's why I have those free gifts available.
Wonderful, wonderful. And where can they go to get those free gifts?
Okay, so I would go to www.sheilamac.com. And then also when you get the book, there's even more free gifts in the book in each chapter that you can get once you get the book. And that's going to be on Amazon on August 4th.
Whoa, excellent, excellent. That is fantastic. And Katie says here, you have shown great courage and fortitude, Sheila, and a shining example for many. Oh, that's beautiful. Beautiful, Katie St. Clair. And Katie says, yes, 3 brains. That's right. Thank you for confirming that. We have the mind, the heart, and the gut brain. Thank you very much. And Sequoia Haskell, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Intuition, teacher within. I love that too. Thank you for sharing that. Fantastic. Keep those comments coming in, and we'll share them here. It's fantastic to hear from you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for sharing your gratitudes as well. Really great to hear from you. Now, Sheila, you also have your own show. Can you share a bit about your show?
Okay, so I've started the Sheila Mac Show. And if anybody on here has a story about how in their life they've gone through a rock bottom situation and gotten back on track, I'd love to interview you on the show. And the reason I have that is aligned with the book and everything that I've created here now. It's really so that we can come together in community and support one another. Sometimes my story doesn't help somebody as much as somebody else's story. And the more we share that, the better. Now, I can go back to a time in my life when I was 4 or 5 years old, and I was living with my grandmother. Now, grandmother, somebody 60s, 70s at that time, and all her friends were in that age group. They all were business women. They were very feminine. They didn't lose their feminine, but they ran their businesses, and they would sit around and have tea and coffee. And I was this, children should be seen and not heard, but I was there. Where are you going to send me? So I'm sitting in this room and I hear these stories of, this was in Los Angeles, California. And so, we had everybody from all over the world that has come to California, to the United States for one reason or another. So I had a lady that her entire family was killed. She was in a concentration camp and survived. And how she built this beautiful life and ran this business and had this grace. And she was so stoic and beautiful. And the stories were the living history that it's priceless to hear these real stories. And another lady was from Greece. Her husband passed away and she took over all his restaurants. She had very famous restaurants in Los Angeles. And it was back in the day when it was not acceptable for a woman to run a business. And yet that was the group, that was my grandmother's peer group. And so all these women had these stories, and I thought, oh my gosh, this shows me that in life, we're going to have things. We're going to have COVID. We're going to have, who knows whatever it is, whatever exciting, we're going to have a fire. We're going to have ups and downs and waves, but we can together survive this and get through it and talk about it, and in community supporting each other. It makes all the difference. So that's another thing. I'd like you all to join my Bootstraps and Bra Straps Facebook community, and it's where we gather together and we can share our stories, show up for one another. If you're going through something, it's a wonderful support group of other people that are also getting back on track this year. And so that's the community that I really wanted to create, so that like when I felt all alone, I don't want anybody else to feel all alone, especially this year.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. And, that's the thing with people who have depression. Often they do feel very alone. And, if you know anyone with depression right now or who's suicidal, I highly recommend that you watch an interview I did on Media Queen TV on my YouTube channel. And it's with a lady called Tracy Corman, who runs Two's company. And we've both had depression. And we share, frankly, some simple strategies on what you can do to come out of depression. And with people watching that, they'll realize they're not alone. Watching that interview, there's 1 hour, and Tracy actually shared twice when she was suicidal, and she picked up the phone and she called me in those times and, thought, who can I call? And she called me and I helped her through those times, which at the time I didn't even know she was suicidal, but she shared it all in this 1 hour interview on Media Queen TV. So if you look that up, Tracy Corman, Tracey Corman, the truth about how to overcome abuse and depression. It's a very powerful interview. I recommend, particularly if you're feeling depressed right now, and obviously connect with the community. I think that's really, really important. As you said, Sheila, join the Bootstraps and Bra Straps community on Facebook, because the fact is your X factor is your story. You're the only one with your story. And life is often, I say, like a roller coaster ride. Okay, there's going to be times you're going to be going down, you're going to go up. Sometimes you're going to go round and round circles. Sometimes you've got to slow down to speed up, right? The main thing is to stay strapped in, right?
Exactly. And that community, strapping into all those communities, not just one, but connect as much as you can, especially if you're alone right now. And you need to have, if you're going through those down times, I do get into getting out of depression and also into abuse, getting away from an abusive relationship, getting through and over addictions. And the more support you have around you, the easier it is to reach success and to stay on track. So it makes all the difference.
Yes, absolutely. Are You Okay Day is a great initiative as well, reaching out to people. Simple strategies like getting creative, doing what you love, doing what you're passionate about. These are simple things you can do to help pull yourself out of depression. Gratitude is really important. I had depression a little while ago. I had got very sick, and, I had to remind myself things can always be worse. Okay, no matter how bad things seem right now, things can always be worse. So be grateful for what you have. It's very important. And if you want to get a sense of how we've been controlled by the world, have a look at the Out of Shadows documentary. If you haven't seen it yet, Out of Shadows, very interesting about how people have come to believe the things that they believe, how we've been brainwashed by mainstream media and by Hollywood. Now that documentary just came out since COVID, and it had about 10 million views in a month. It just went crazy. So check it out. I highly recommend have a look at that. Get informed on what's happening out there so that you can make informed decisions, and also realize the power of the people in all this, right? Because the few that are controlling the world is just a few. And if you look at the Tiny Dot, there's a video called Tiny Dot on YouTube, and it actually shows a representation of the tiny few that are controlling the masses. And I think, and the masses now are starting to wake up. People are starting to wake up. And on that point too, I just want to do a call out for all the amazing journalists that are out there that are covering positive stories. And the number of journalists I've approached lately actually said, thank goodness we've got a positive story around COVID. So I know there's a lot of great reporters out there that are doing some amazing work as well. So I just want to say thank you to all those, truth seekers and truth speakers, including the journalists out there that are doing their best to get more positive stories out there. Now, Sequoia says, our generation, seen and not heard, from our deepest wounds come our greatest gift. I honour your journey of adversity, as mine has been one too. Every lesson and situation is a blessing and a gift. It also creates empathy for others. Absolutely. Yes, very nicely said.
One of the ways that I learned how to, the first week this all happened, I had messages from every single idea about what's going on, and news reports and negative stuff coming to me. And I said, okay, I'm going to decide how things come into my world. And the first thing I looked at is I thought about being a loving parent. Those people, whatever they believe, bless them and say, okay, thank you, because this is what, for me, I said, okay, they believe that wholeheartedly, with every part of their being, and they're reaching out to me because they love me, and they're saying, hey, do this because this is right. And we have to filter through our own decisions. Yet I said, wait, I may not bother with the news stuff or the videos that all come in that are dark and dreary, but I will accept that love energy. And I will love those people. Whatever they believe is fine. But that love energy, then all that love is flowing in. And I see that for what it really is. And I say, okay, it's all okay that we're different and we have different viewpoints. Let's just stick with the love energy. And that made all the difference for myself, for my adult children that are home studying, online university, when they got their things from their friends. We just shifted it and turned it into love energy. So
I love that. And that's absolutely a huge point. As much as we may have different opinions right now about what's going on in the world and what the truth is and what the truth isn't, I think everyone's entitled to their opinion. Right. Okay. And just treat others with kindness, compassion. And if you're going to wear a mask, put a love mask on. Okay. That's what I say. Make sure it's okay. Because we imagine if everyone had love masks on. Yes. That would send a pretty clear message about spreading the love, wouldn't it? So, so absolutely spread that love. And that, Tracy actually said to me, Tracy Corman, she said, the love that you seek from others is also inside you. So it's there for you, right? That love for you is there for you, and it's there for others. So there's an abundance of love. There's an abundance of light and gratitude. And, there's an abundance of that to be tapped into. And it's all about matter of what you're going to focus on, what you're going to choose to focus on, what you're going to choose to believe, and how you're going to act as a result of that.
Exactly.
So Sheila, look, you're amazingly inspiring. You've been all over the media. What are some of the media appearances you've had lately?
Oh my gosh, I got on ABC on an article. I also did one for Medium. I had an article appear. I'm trying to think, there was so many. I had an article appear in LA Wired, and then New York Wired also did an article on me. And so it has just been everywhere. I've been on a podcast at least 2 or 3 times a week, and that's picking up as the book launches. So I have those scheduled as well. I've been on iHeartRadio, on an interview. I was on another interview that's on Voice of America, which is well known here. And so that's just been really wonderful. To be able to share your message is so important, and we all have important messages to share. So especially at this time, yes.
And you're on TV as well?
Yes. So yeah, local. And so, and there's more booked for later on this in August, actually, as things show up more. And so I'm very excited about that. And there's just a lot to learn about sharing your message and being able to speak your truth and help other people. And I've really enjoyed that.
Yeah, it's just wonderful. We've got lovely comments coming in. Sequoia's saying yes, and someone is always worse off than we are. Thank you, Sequoia. Gigi says, great, congratulations, Sheila. Thank you, Gigi. And Sequoia, you are the love you seek. Have to love self first. Absolutely. Fill your own cup first so you can help others with the overflow, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very important. And now, Sheila, you are so ambitious, I would say, because you're always working. You're working quite hard, right? You're a hard worker as much as you have a team as well that's helping you, right. And I'm sure your kids are helping you as well. Hopefully, they're pitching in and washing the dishes occasionally.
Yes.
So, what tips could you give people about following their path and what it takes to actually become successful?
I think if you go back to who you showed up as a young child, even, and you go way back to that, you realize that that's your essence and your truth. When you're really in your authentic place, you see a beautiful child doing whatever they do, and there's no competition. It's not about ego or any of that. It's just like love flowing through them. It's who they're here to be. And when you're doing that, whether you're doing it in your work or you're doing it in the community, however you're sharing those beautiful truths that make you you. And no mask, take those masks off, at least the ones that, all those pretend to be something you're not, and just show up. And maybe that's like the universe is saying, hey, these masks, it's a message, okay? Just show up. And if you show up, that's going to be like, you're just playing and you're having fun and you're free and you're helping others in your own beautiful way. And that makes all the difference.
Yeah, I love that. Show up, step up, show up. I always say shine bright and light up those around you. You never know who you're going to impact with your message. You could save a life with your message. You could inspire someone. You could light them up from within, right? It's a real gift. It's such a gift. And people on a mission have no competition. I love that quote too.
Yes. So when I was 10 years old, we had these hostages, American hostages in another country, in Iran and different places. And there was this big thing going on. Now we're really dating me. Okay, so 10. And at that time, I wrote this little speech for school. And then I was invited to make speeches across different places in my community. And I ended up speaking at 10 years old in front of President Carter in the US at that time. And I was speaking about how to free the people and how to have social justice. And that love of connecting everyone and caring for the world, that's who I am. And, my book is another way to help people. So it's just me showing up as who I was when I was this little kid with, and so that's you being you, So, it's just think about who you were showing up as, and you can go way back and you'll see whoever that is, your heart, your guided way to show up in this world.
Yes, beautiful. And what was it when you were a child that you wanted to do when you grew up, right? What was it? What was your dream? What was your dream?
Right. Yeah. And it was really just helping people and loving people and connecting with other people. And so that was just always something that ended up happening, where I wasn't really looking for that stage, but it was more like being the voice sometimes for people that can't be heard.
Yes.
And that's really important.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because just 2 nights ago I had that come to me. When I was watching all these documentaries on vaccinations and the microchips they want to put in and all this, and I was just going down the rabbit hole. And I just went, oh my goodness, and I just thought I started to get a bit emotional about it, and I thought, what can I do? And I put out a little prayer, and what came to me was be the voice.
Yes.
Be the voice. And then just yesterday I was talking to one of our other mass media mastery clients, or one of the other people in our community, Elena Massey, and she also what came to her was be the voice. That's something we can do now, is we can be the voice. And now you've just said be the voice.
Yes, this is something. You see, you're helping people to share their message with their voice to help heal our world in whatever way they're guided to do that. And that is a beautiful mission and way to show up. And I love that.
Yeah. And a good question. Yeah, absolutely. A good question to ask yourself is, how do you want to be remembered?
Yes.
How do you want to be remembered? What are people going to say about you when you pass? Or what are they saying about you now? And I mean, the thing is, when you put yourself out there, you're going to have people that are going to love you and people that are going to hate you regardless, right? So you don't want to let that affect you. But, how do you want to be remembered? What sort of legacy do you want to leave that lives on way past you do? And not everyone's ambitious like that. Some people are quite happy to be on government payments and watch TV all day, and that's their prerogative if they want to do that.
Right.
Each to their own on that one. But, how do you want to be remembered? So asking you now, Sheila, how would you like to be remembered?
Well, I think that, one of the things that just for my children and my family and community is I want to be really able to leave some kind of a legacy and a guide for them to follow, to give to the grandchildren and the great grandchildren. And that was when I wrote this book. I had a beautiful foreword about that. If I'm not here to guide you, I'm there with you in spirit. I want to take your hand and get you through whatever tough spot you're going through in your life. And it doesn't matter who the person is, whether it's somebody I know or don't know. If it makes a difference in their life and in their family, then I've done my work. That's all that matters.
Beautiful. Wow. Amazing, Sheila. I could just chat to you for another hour easily. I can't believe an hour's just gone just like that. Are there any final words you'd like to leave with our beautiful viewers?
Well, I hope to connect with you and learn about anything you're going through and support you through the community. And if there's anything else, I'd love to hear from you, and also to interview you if you have a phenomenal story to share.
Beautiful. And of course, Bootstraps and Bra Straps is coming out August 4. And again, where can people get a copy of the book and get all those free resources?
Okay, so the book will be available on Amazon, and that's an international Amazon. So you can go there and find that on August 4th. And it's a wonderful way to read the book and then either pass it to somebody else who needs it as a guide, or I also have a program where I'm the first month I'm actually donating. So if somebody buys a book, I will be donating these books, the same amount, to women's shelters to help them get back on track. And they'll also be getting free guidance and resource and all the gifts and everything we can do to help them. So that's what I'm doing this first month regarding the book.
Wonderful. Well, you are a true inspiration, Sheila. You're amazing. I love your work. I love what you do. Congratulations on your book, on all your media appearances as well. I've just got another comment here. Sequoia says, it's time to be the voice. Fifth dimension is the throat chakra. I do live meditations on Facebook every day to empower people. That was my call, to use my voice. Thank you for an awesome interview. I do have a phenomenal story to share. Fantastic.
Right. Wonderful. Yes, I'd love to connect with you.
Great.
Oh my gosh, I just finished the UPW virtual with Tony Robbins, and I thought, oh my gosh, she has a whole thing. I am the voice. I will lead, not follow. I will create, not doubt. All these beautiful things that he says. So even that is coming through us right now with this. There's something to it that we're all getting to be the voice in this new beautiful time that we're getting into.
Yes, it's a really special gift. Thank you. Katie says, a beautiful heart in the universe loves you. Thank you, Katie. We love you too. Thank you, Katie. Gigi, you're truly inspiration for many. Truly inspiration. Thank you, Gigi. Beautiful. Sequoia says, you're both shining lights. Thank you. Blessings. Blessings. Well, the fact is we're all shining lights if we choose to shine our light, right? The light is there. It's in us. It's around us. It's everywhere. It's Are you choosing to honor that, to step into that, to allow that, you know, or are you going to have a pity party and hang out with your pity party mates and whinge about the world? You know, it's a choice. It's a moment by moment choice.
Right.
You know, are you going to be in gratitude? You're going to come from love, or you're going to come from fear, right? It's a choice. It's a choice. Any final words, Sheila?
You know, that brings me to, don't be hard on yourself when you do have a day or a moment or a time where you're like, hey, I'm not as motivated as I was last year. That's okay. Give yourself, that's the self-love. That's the time to say, hey, you know what? It's okay. I'm going to love myself through this. I'm going to connect to people. I'm going to give love. I'm going to let people know. Ask for help when you need it, because that is going to empower you to even more success. And just honor that, because we are going to go through our emotions. There's not one person that I know that's not up and down with this sometimes. So just honor that, get through it quickly, yes, and ask for help and connect to as many different communities, your community, your friends, as you can.
Absolutely. I think that's wonderful advice. Gigi says, you're a strong woman that helps others be brave and follow our dreams and goals. Thank you, Gigi. That's lovely for you to say. And Katie says, Blue Chakra and Blue Storm Galactic New Year on last Sunday. It's all about the voice.
Yes.
Thank you, ladies. Wow, that's amazing. Love this conversation. Thank you so much, Katie. Wow. Well, who would have thought? And I've got blue behind me there. So there we go. That's perfect.
Nice.
And you've got blue eyes, haven't you, Sheila? Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining us, everyone. Remember to connect and make sure you get a copy of Sheila's book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps. Can we see that one last time there, Sheila?
There we go.
That hot book with the hot pink, hot pink straps and bra straps. And we do recommend that you put your boots on and your bra at the same time. That is a great idea. Make sure you actually wear a bra as well, okay? Because otherwise, you know, it could get a bit ugly there underneath the T-shirt. But
well, think about it. I tell you one thing. The book is just like a pair of boots or a bra. It's not one size fits all. It's you recreating your life on your terms.
Love it. Beautiful. Recreate your life on your terms. It's perfect. Absolutely perfect. And for those who want to connect with me, then we have a Mass Media Tribe group on Facebook, which is all for the truth seekers and truth speakers who want to share their message. So please come and connect there. And I've got a free webinar tomorrow, actually, on how to get free publicity during COVID-19. And it's going to be at 11 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. So 24 hours from now, and go back 3 hours for wherever you are in the world. So check that out too. All the details are in the Mass Media Tribe group on Facebook, or you can go to my website, aaexpose.com, and in the calendar section there, you'll find it as well. Thank you both. Sequoia says, thank you. Truly awesome. Thank you very much. Really appreciate you. And if you have just joined us, love to see in the chat, what are you grateful for? What are you grateful for? And how can you reinvent your life and turn things around moving forward, regardless of what's happening in the world, right? Regardless of what's happening. Thank you so much, Sheila. It's been a real honor and a privilege to chat with you today. You are amazing. And I'm blown away by you and your story, and how, you know, you've bounced back or bounced forward, or, you know, how you go along with a smile. I can't believe you lost your son just this January, and you know, you're powering on in life, and you're, you know, really leaving an amazing legacy, you know, for him and for others. So thank you so much for what you're doing. And thank you. Gigi says, thank you both. Amazing interview. Thank you, Gigi. Glad you enjoyed it. And Katie says, thank you both. I'm most grateful. Well, I'm most grateful for you. Most grateful for you, Sheila. Any final words from Sheila Mac?
Well, I am just sending love and light to everyone globally here as I connect. with you from the US all the way over to Australia. So
yes,
you.
yes. Lots of love to you. Spread the love, spread the kindness for yourself and others at this time, and be the voice. That seems to be the theme at the moment. Be the voice. Be the voice, like the John Farnham song. You're the voice. You're the voice. That'll be the theme song moving forward. You're the voice. Thank you so much for joining us. And do connect also Media Queen TV. This interview will be up there, Media Queen TV as well. If you haven't subscribed, we've got over 450 videos there, other interviews with amazing people like Sheila. So you can check that out. And let's connect on social media. Stay connected. Join our amazing communities. We're not alone in this. We need now more than ever to come together, support each other, share more kindness, share more love. And right back at you. Thank you, Sequoia. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for joining us if you're watching the recording of this as well. And still pop your comments in because we'll see them after this live interview as well. Thanks again, Sheila.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Lots of love. See you soon.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.